Hajime Hinata and his French Bulldog.
My wife and I don't have any children. We have a dog. We have a little puppy named Petunia.
I have Cheeky.
She's a tiny little French Bulldog puppy. I like having a puppy that's a bulldog because it's like having a baby that is also a grandma. Her body is young, her face is as old as time. She definitely saw the Nazis march into Paris. She always gives me this look of like, oh, the things I have seen, you cocksucker. You have no idea. The Gestapo threw my printing press into a river, but go tell your fucking jokes. Bring me my dish. She said that. Petunia is my best friend in the world. I give her 1,000,000 kisses a day. She does not like me and barks at me and bites me all day long. We had to get a dog trainer into the apartment because Petunia is a bad dog. We tell her that every day. We go, hey, you're bad.
You're a bad owner.
So the trainer came into the apartment. Sorry, didn't even walk into the apartment. Walked into the threshold and went, oh, okay. Like she was an exorcist or something. She said, I see what the problem is. She said, Petunia has become the alpha of the house.
No
then
shit.
She pointed at me. She said, you are no longer the alpha of the house. And in the back of my head, I was like, I was never the alpha of the house. I turned to my wife, I was like, let's pretend it'll be fun. Yes, my title of alpha, which I once had. How could I reclaim it? Because that was a thing that existed at one time. She said, you need to show dominance over your puppy. These are things people say to me. I said, how do I do that? She said, well, let me ask you this. Who eats dinner first, you or Petunia? I was like, Petunia eats dinner first. She eats dinner at 5 p.m. because she's a foot long and 2 years old. She said, no, you need to eat dinner first because the king eats before anyone else eats. Oh, yes. And what a mighty king I will be. Eating dinner at 4:45 in the afternoon.
He's got a point.
Look upon your sovereign, Petunia, and tremble. My lands stretch across this entire one bedroom. And I eat dinner whenever I choose, as long as it works for the schedule of a dog. She said, no, you don't actually have to eat dinner before Petunia. You just have to convince Petunia that you've already eaten.
What the fuck? I love this.
So, for the past month, I shit you not, before my wife and I give Petunia her dish, we take down empty bowls and spoons, and in front of her we go, dinner. Good dinner.
Fucking what the hell?
Like we're space aliens in a play about human beings that they wrote but they didn't work that hard on. We're eating dinner. Meanwhile, Petunia's just staring at us with her Paul Giamatti face like... You're not eating dinner, cocksucker. Dish now.
Who's the comedian that's doing this? Like, I'm liking the Danganronpa things on top of it, but who's the shit? That must be my phone. Hello? Yes, I'll come downstairs. Hell yeah, my phone. As you can imagine, my phone arrived, and I was like, why didn't I do a phone opening? And it's like, how can you do a phone opening when you don't have a phone? Because I Kylo Ren'd my phone. And, yeah, let's just, like, yeah? Alright. Let's watch Hajime Hinata on his daddy. And I ain't his daddy.
No, my parents loved us. It's just like they were the cops, you know? And we were criminals. So we didn't get along. We only got along in that way that, like, cops will sometimes be chummy with criminals. Like, when my dad and I would talk, it was like that scene in the movie Heat when Robert De Niro and Al Pacino sit down in that diner. We kind of had that rapport of, like, we're not so different, you and I. You have your law practice, and me, I have all these fucking markers. I guess we both have responsibilities when you look at it that way. My dad would respect it if I could get away with breaking a rule. Like, we had a rule in our house, you were not allowed to watch TV on a school night. So every school night, I would 100% be watching TV. And I would hear my dad coming, I would immediately turn the TV off and grab any book, magazine, periodical, anything. And I'd open it and pretend to be doing homework. My dad would walk in the room and he would go, "What are you doing? Are you watching TV?" And I go, "Nah, man. I'm not watching TV." The TV wouldn't even be dark yet. It would still have like a neon green halo around it. And it'd be sizzling like a glass of Pepsi. And I would look my dad in the eyes and go, "No, I'm just reading this Yellow Pages."
It's a phone book.
My dad loved us, he just didn't care about our general happiness or self-esteem.
Like my dad.
I remember one time, we were really little kids. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and all 4 of us were in a family car ride for 3 hours going to Wisconsin. My dad was driving, going down the highway in our white van with wood around the side. Because you remember when you wanted your car to be made of wood? You remember that era? Where we were like, how much wood can we get on this car without it catching on fire? But then the big announcement, we here at Plymouth Chrysler can put a saucy stripe of wood safely on the outside of your car. For all those times you've looked at your minivan and thought, it needs a belt.
I still don't get that.
So we're going on the highway. We've been on the road for like 3 hours. And in the distance, we see a McDonald's. We see the Golden Arches. And we got so excited. We started chanting, "McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's." And my dad pulled into the drive-thru, and we started cheering. And then he ordered 1 black coffee for himself.
Da 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Snoop Dogg! Snoop Dogg! And kept driving. And you know, as mad as that made me as a little kid, in retrospect, that is the funniest thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
I'm gonna fucking do that.
How perfect is that?
I'm gonna do
He
that.
had a van load of little kids, and he got black coffee. The one thing from McDonald's no child could enjoy. My dad is cold-blooded.
Da 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Snoop Dogg! Snoop Dogg! He once shushed a kid during Lion King on Broadway. That actually happened. We were at Lion King on Broadway, and there was a 5-year-old behind us going, "Look, it's Pumbaa! Look, it's Timon!" And my dad turned around and said, "Are you going to talk the entire time?"
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Snoop Dogg! Snoop Dogg! He's my hero.
He's fucking savage. Well, at least his dad took him to, like, Lion on Broadway. My dad was more savage. He took me to Disneyland in California. And we went on the first day. And I wanted to get photos with Mickey. He didn't want to. Didn't want to pay for it either. So, no photos with Mickey. And then on the second day of Disneyland, we didn't go to Disneyland. We went to a local fucking market. He was such a dick. Anyways, Hajime on being a kid.
I had no supervision when I was a kid. We were free to do what we wanted, but also with that, no one cared about kids. I grew up before children were special. I did, very early 80s, right before children became special. Like, I remember when milk carton kids became a thing. When they were like, "Hey, we should start looking for some of these guys. I don't think they're just blowing off steam." No one cared about my opinion when I was a little kid. No one cared what I thought. Sometimes people would say, "What do you think you're doing?" But that just meant stop. They didn't actually want to know my thought process. They didn't want me to be like, "Well, I was gonna put this bottle rocket into this carton of eggs so that when I lit off the bottle rocket, the eggs would explode everywhere. Oh, well, that's very interesting. And what brought you to this experiment? Oh, well, thank you for asking. Well, you know how I'm filled with rage? I'm so horny and angry all the time, and I have no outlet for it, so... eggs.
That's a very phallical thing.
Your opinion doesn't matter in elementary school either. It matters in college. College is just your opinion. Just you raising your hand and being like, I think Emily Dickinson's a lesbian. And they're like, partial credit. And that's like a whole thing.
Partial credit.
But in elementary school, it doesn't matter what you think. It just matters what you know. You have to have answers to questions. And if you say, I don't know, you get an X on your test. And you get it wrong. And that's not fair. Because your brain has never been smaller. Also, that's not how life works. Like, I'm in my 30s now. If you came to me now and you were like, hey, John, name 3 things that the Stamp Act of 1775 accomplished. I'd go, I don't know, get out of my apartment, you know? But when you're a little kid, you can't say, I don't know. You should be able to. That should be an acceptable answer on a test. You should be able to write in, I don't know. I know you told me. But I have had a very long day. I am very small. And I have no money. So you can imagine the kind of stress that I am under. Or if it's one of those true or false questions, you should be able to add a third option, which is, who's to say? Kids are much more supervised now, but also they have a lot of rights. Like, that's the biggest civil rights increase I've seen in my lifetime. The rights of children have gone through the roof. I had no rights when I was a little kid. I remember one time I walked into a supermarket by myself. I walked in through the double doors, and the woman behind the register just looked at me, and she went, no! And I went, all right, and I turned around and left. That's how broken I was.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Hey!
Hey, do robots have to... And there we go. There we go. No, they don't. They have a USB port.
Hey!
That smile and hair reminds me of something. She's like Oscar, but with less reddish hair.